I'll actually listen online. Yeah. Okay, folks, we are having some technical difficulties. Just trying to make sure it's me. Okay, I was the one that had the volume up, so I apologize. So, welcome to Monday, May the 4th, Committee of the Whole for the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands. And we are calling this meeting to order at 6:01, and we will start with the land acknowledgement. With gratitude, the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands acknowledges these lands and waters are the traditional territory of the Algonquin, Mississaugas, Mohawk, and Huron-Wendat. To recognize the role the township must play in truth and reconciliation, we also acknowledge the displacement of these peoples. Additionally, the township would like to respectfully acknowledge the First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people who also call this place home. We make this land acknowledgement to honor Indigenous ancestors who have stewarded these lands and waters since time immemorial. So we'll begin our agenda by the adoption of the agenda, moved by Councillor Maybe, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fody, that the agenda be adopted as circulated, that Committee of the Whole waive the procedural bylaw 22-001 to allow Committee of the Whole to resolve into Council at agenda item number 11 to consider a bylaw for the appointment of the chief building official and the confirmatory bylaw to confirm the proceedings of Council. Discussion on the motion? I have no hands up, so I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Next item on the agenda is declaration of pecuniary interest in the general nature thereof. Does anybody have an interest to declare? Go ahead. Can you turn your microphone on, please?
Through you, Mayor, I have 9.2 conflict of interest for the community grants. I am a director on Sabara.
Not a problem. Okay, go ahead. Councillor Kalman.
Thank you, Worship. And through you, I have to declare a conflict of interest for 9.4 because I'm on the board of one of the cemeteries receiving a grant.
Fair enough. Any other declarations of interest? Seeing none, we'll move forward with closed session, which we do not have any. We do not have any delegations or briefings, so we'll move right into the public meeting. Moved by Councillor Antoine Hartley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fody, that the public meeting be called to order at 6:04 p.m. Discussion on the motion? Call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. So we are now in the public meeting. We'll move forward with 8.1 D14 2026-004 161 Ivy Lee Road and 161 and 164 Ivy Lee Road. And I'll just read the introduction prior to proceedings. Personal information collected at this public hearing is collected under the authority of the Planning Act and will be used to assist in making decision on this matter. All names and addresses, opinions, and comments are collected and form part of the minutes which are available to the public. Questions regarding this collection should be forwarded to the Director of Planning. The purpose of public meetings is to present applications in a public forum. Following presentations by the applicant or staff, council members will be afforded an opportunity to ask questions for clarification or further information. The meeting will then be open to the public for comments and questions. When you speak, please provide your name and address for recording in the minutes. All comments should be directed to myself, the chair of the meeting. The applicant will be provided the opportunity to address public questions once all members of the public have made their submissions. Following council's decision, notice will be circulated in accordance with the Planning Act. If a specified person or public body would otherwise have an ability to appeal the decision of the Council of the Corporation of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands to the Ontario Land Tribunal, but the specified person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the township before the bylaw is passed, the specified person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision. Okay, thank you for your patience. So moving on to 161 and 164 Ivy Lee Road. So we'll have Lindsay address that matter.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So the subject of this public meeting this evening is a zoning bylaw amendment application for the properties known as 161 and 164 Ivy Lee Road. The properties are located within the Ivy Lee settlement area. There is an existing marina located at 161 Ivy Lee Road. The land portion of that property is zoned tourist commercial, which permits a marina. There are 30 existing dock slips, and the applicant is proposing to construct 42 additional floating dock slips over 3 phases for a total of 72 dock slips. The purpose of the application is to change the environmental protection zone that overlays the water area, coinciding with the existing and proposed docks, to a special exception EP zone to permit those existing and proposed dock slips. 164 Ivy Lee Road is on the north side of Ivy Lee Road. It contains a dwelling as the primary use of the property. The property is zoned rural residential, and there is also existing off-site parking on that property for the marina across the street. There are 2 accesses for the property, one via Ivy Lee Road and the other being the Thousand Islands Parkway. The applicant is proposing to amend the existing RR zone to a special exception RR zone to recognize the existing accessory commercial parking on the property, both vehicle and boat trailer parking for the marina. In terms of notice for this evening, planning staff confirm that the notice has been provided in accordance with the Planning Act. The required technical agencies have been notified. Signage has been posted at all road frontages of the 2 properties. All owners of property located within 120 meters of the subject lands were mailed a notice in accordance with the Planning Act. This included 24 properties. Planning staff are in receipt of 3 pieces of written correspondence so far, noting concerns with the application, and those correspondence items have been distributed to members this evening for your review. The application is currently subject to an active technical review. After receiving and addressing public comments and at the conclusion of the technical review, a recommendation will be brought forward by township planning staff at a future meeting. If the application is approved, the proposed development would be subject to site plan control. And I believe the applicant has joined the meeting virtually to participate this evening. Thank you.
So just to be perfectly clear, this is a public meeting. There is no decision to be made this evening. It is not on the council agenda. This is only to gather information and input from the public and ask questions also from council members. So no recommendations are being made one way or the other this evening. This is gathering information. So with that, I'll go to council members who may have questions. We do have the applicant on file. It's the applicant's, sorry. So I think Mr. Hodgson is online. Is his consultant online as well? No, just Mr. Hodgson. Okay. So Councillor Maybe, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, this one might go to the clerk first. Is 8.1 and 8.2 are basically the same thing, and I'm just wanting clarity on why it's listed twice.
Thank you, through you, Your Worship. I believe that notice was posted here, and so I just didn't combine. I didn't realize that notice was posted on the agenda, and I didn't combine them. They are the exact same thing.
Okay.
So that was an error.
Yeah, not a problem. Just want to make sure that we're all
Didn't
clear
miss
on why it's been listed twice. So I do have a couple questions. I did travel to the site over the weekend to take a quick look at what I seen on Ivy Lee Road in its entirety, but did take note of this particular property also and the dockage that's already present. One thing about the parking area that what I was questioning is that in looking at the parking area, there's a number of signs already there with names on them. So when you increase the docking space and the existing parking, which looked like it was similar to the site plan that they provided, is already filled. So I'm wondering where the additional parking is going to be placed then. Now, some of the signs had multiple same name. So whether that's going to be changed a bit to give space to the property, or whether there's a little bit more expansion to actually do on the property. But it looked like, from my vision, pretty well, the site plan that was provided that said extra spaces to what's actually existing are the same. So maybe there's some clarity on the parking that is going to be provided with and if this goes ahead.
Okay, is that the only question you have?
Well, and that it also is site plan control, as it was listed in the briefing. So there's more information to come back to us at some point for anything else. And the other one was, as mentioned in the briefing just now, that they have access to the Thousand Island Parkway. And is that a legal access to the parkway? I would assume yes, there's a stop sign, so they wouldn't have provided that without it. But my other question there, we have in our past talked about emergency entrance for the Ivy Lee area, and whether that could be a subtitle to this whole deal if it's made.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I will look to the applicant, Mr. Hodgson. If you could explain the number of parking spots that are currently being used versus the expansion. I'm not sure if your plan is to tighten up the site plan. I obviously by the map, it says you will be, but maybe you could speak to that.
Yeah, it's Bob Hodgson here. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can hear you fine. Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah, we provided some mapping attached that shows, I believe, over 90 parking spots. Some of them haven't been placed yet, obviously, until we, and plus we have some access for trailer parking that we can turn into parking for vehicles, but that's mainly for people to store their trailers. We cater to the cottage owners in the Thousand Islands, and we have multiple requests where people are upsizing their boats. Existing clients have the 12-foot aluminum boats are now wanting to go with a family size pontoon boat. So we have about 6 existing clients that want to step up in size. So really that's what we're catering for. And there's a demand for more people with cottage owners. There's multiple families in these cottages that have more than one boat. So this is what we're accommodating. We're not looking for overnight campers, or there's going to be no power on the boat, or no power on the docks, no water on the docks. So this is where we're
Day
going.
use. Day use is basically the goal of this.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So the other question was access off the parkway. Is that a legal access? I believe it is, but
All I know is the Amazon guy comes in through there with 164 Ivy Lee Road. So I don't know how legal that is, but and again, we've been somewhat controlling who goes through there. We let our clients go through there of the marina. We minimize any other traffic that gets through there. You'll notice that there's signage there that it's a private lane. So we certainly don't want to have that as a secondary access.
no. But what it does is it addresses some of the concerns that have been indicated in regards to additional traffic through the village itself. If your clients have deeded, or not deeded access, but if they have access through the entrance on the parkway, they can come through there rather than through the village.
Absolutely. And we've been monitoring that. We probably have 20% of our people now that come up through that access and use it. And the other 80% just use the road. So we don't push one way or another. But I'm sure we can somewhat direct that if there was a problem.
Encourage, maybe is the best way of putting it. So encourage that use. I'm going to go back to Councillor Maybe.
Just as a follow-up for Mr. Hodgson, is for emergency services personnel, fire trucks and ambulances and other equipment that may be required. And if the Ivy Lee roadway was blocked west of your property, they can utilize your driveway possibly for their needs?
Yes, they could. We certainly never make a point of blocking it off for any reason. There is a gate there that we could close for security reasons in the wintertime but we certainly don't block it out. And for emergency vehicles, absolutely.
Yes, and
Thank you.
it wasn't closed the other day when I was down there, so that's why I've kind of posed the question that it is almost an open gate policy, let's say. So the possibility of people coming down is there. So thank you.
Okay, Deputy Mayor Fode.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. This would go to our senior planner or acting CAO. When it comes to the dockage yet to be installed, does it follow the sight line of the property when it hits the water? The existing sight line on either side, in this case, the east-west boundaries?
Your lot line extends out from your.
Right. On the same trajectory, right? Whether it be an angle or square or what have you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Because looking at this application, it's a reasonably snug fit between that and neighbors to the west side. But if it follows the law that it follows the lot line, then so be it.
Yeah, we do follow the lot line with our application. The neighbors actually is not perpendicular to their lot line. My understanding is that it was their dock was slightly adjusted years ago, but as far as I know, I don't think there's any conflict with that right now.
Perhaps by Mother Nature with an ice flow.
So, okay, we're just pulling up the map so that everybody has an idea of what we're talking about here.
Right.
She went too far. Okay. So,
You just keep in mind that this is not survey accurate and that the property lines may be off, but it's only to give you an idea of the angling. Because these are in the wrong place. Ivy Lee is skewed based on our mapping, but there's the angling there. Keeping in mind that there are requirements in the zoning bylaw that the lot lines are projected. There's setbacks required from the projected lot lines. We would also need to verify with MNR in terms of the water lot and any leasing that's required. So it's not just as simple as saying the lot lines extend. There are some other considerations to look at as well.
Okay. If I may,
yep.
Your Worship, through you, when I was down there last Friday, that was one of the first things that caught my eye when I stopped and just visually surveyed what I had in front of me versus what I was looking at that day. And it's close proximity, but I mean, your property is your property. If the survey comes through and says all's well, so be it. I assume, Mr. Hodgson, that's deep water there, reasonably deep?
Reasonably deep. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Shouldn't have a problem with any low water issues.
No, I mean, your Ivy Lee's never been noted as a shallow area.
Mhm.
So, and with the higher waters that we're experiencing this spring, floaters would be better than stationary at this point, but okay. Lindsay, did you have something to add?
Thank you. And through you, just to offer some information in terms of zoning with respect to Councillor Maybe's question. So the zoning bylaw requires one parking space per slip or dock used on a seasonal basis. And then, as Mr. Hodgson noted, 90 spaces are proposed. So there is some flexibility there in terms of the number being proposed and the number of parking spaces proposed to be provided to service those slips.
Okay.
And then also, with respect to the access via Thousand Islands Parkway, we have been in contact with the St. Lawrence Parks Commission, and they do appear to recognize that access as a legal access and noted no concerns with the application from their perspective.
Excellent. Deputy Mayor, you had something to add?
I do. Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. Train of thought would help. Oh, with regards to letters handed to council here just prior to the meeting, for those who may have legitimate questions in here, if they're not being addressed tonight, because we as members of council, at least myself, I'll speak for myself, haven't had a chance to read them yet. And as Mayor stated before this public meeting began, nothing's being decided here tonight anyway. I will personally, and I'm sure my colleagues will do the same, refer to these when we have time before we make a decision. Thank you.
So are there any other counselor questions? And then I'll go to the public. I have no other hands up. So I have members of the public here in the gallery. If anybody would like to ask a question, you're welcome to come to the podium and do so. Or if you are online, please raise your hand, use the raise the hand function, and we'll make sure that we recognize you. If you'd like to, please come to the podium, please.
Good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me come tonight. This is the first time I've done this, but I'm new to Ivy Lee and new to the area, and I moved here in 2024 to be a part of this lovely community of Ivy Lee and this beautiful area. And
Your name and your
my
address?
name's, yes, Dorothy Slocum, and I live at 76 Ivy Lee Road.
Okay.
And I really appreciate having Bob Hodgson as a neighbor, and he's certainly happy to see him succeed and to be successful in his marina endeavor. My concern is I live very close to the west boundary of Ivy Lee Road and Ivy Lee Road and the Parkway. And as we all know, and this isn't a forum for complaining about the boat lines, but we do have a lot of traffic from now till the end of November with buses and lots of other, as you'll see from my letter, lots of other traffic. And I was just concerned about more traffic with the expansion of the marina. And Councillor Mabey and Councillor Foley did sort of alleviate some of the fears about perhaps an access from the Parkway to the parking and the access to the marina. And Bob has also, when he mentioned we could use that access, is that something that might happen, or will all the traffic have to come through and by our homes on Ivy Lee Road?
I think he made the point that his clientele could absolutely use that. I don't
Okay.
imagine that it would become an open access for all.
Not for everyone, but I was pleased to hear that it's a regular group of cottagers and clients of Bob's and not just general public and a daily use of different boats and things. So that helped alleviate the fears there. And I just wondered, what's the impact of all the paving of all the area? Like, I know Bob has a lot of parking in the back and all that. Used to be, I take it, farmland, and now all the runoff will be coming into the river. Is that something that's looked at by as part of this study or
I believe
application?
that's addressed through site plan control. Yes, so there has to be proper drainage and
Okay,
how that's handled is done through site plan control.
okay, all right. So I just concerned about the little by little, a little village being paved over, that's all. So, but I thank you for letting me talk, and I hope you'll consider my comments, and thank you, Bob,
Perfect.
for listening as well.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Councillor Mabey, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Actually, when I was down there, that's one thing I did look at is the actual culverts and ditches and such in the parking lots, and it looks like it's managed quite well at this point. So I was quite pleased to see that, to your point.
So I have no other hands up in the gallery or at the table. I'll just make my final comment. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I apologize. Mr. Hale, you'd like to speak? We're just gonna unmute you here. Oh, you have to unmute yourself, please. There we go.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you very much, Mayor. My name is Kevin Hale. Excuse me. I live at 335 Ivy Lee Road, and I'm the president of the Ivy Lee Community Association, and in that capacity, I'm speaking this evening. I'd like to start out by saying that Bob Hudson is a great guy. We all like Bob. He's been a great member of the community in Ivy Lee. However, the association has a certain perspective with respect to certain conditions in the village, and it's important that we have an opportunity to discuss those situations tonight. First of all, Ivy Lee Road is not suitable in its present configuration to accommodate two-way traffic. The road is currently being utilized far in excess of its limited capacity, and this has resulted in unsafe and hazardous conditions at the intersection of both Ivy Lee Road and the Thousand Islands Parkway, as well as all through the length of the road throughout the village. Large commercial vehicles such as tour buses and the congestion caused by traffic waiting to enter and exit the boat line make it impossible for first responders and emergency equipment to reach residents, as well as the township dock, which the township has spent a significant amount of money to build and improve, and where emergency equipment is located to serve island residents. There is no public secondary ingress or egress point into the village of Ivy Lee. This has created significant liability and danger to the personal safety and well-being of the residents. This is an issue that we've asked the Township Council to address many times. We strongly believe these issues need to be addressed before any additional commercial development can be approved in the village. To do so would be irresponsible and ignore your duty to preserve the safety and quality of life for our residents.
Was that everything, Mr. Hale?
That's it.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Are there any questions for Mr. Hale? Go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you to Mr. Hale. So you suggested that there's, definitely some deficiencies in traffic flow. Does your organization actually have any suggestions on that?
Well,
That's not.
obviously,
Well, just because of the extra added traffic to this business.
That's something that staff will review.
Something
Staff
else?
has to review that because context is, and Mr. Hodgson has also indicated that his clientele can also access the property directly off the parkway and not through. But for the public to be aware, we have, as council, have directed staff to move forward with looking at Ivy Lee as a whole. And that work is currently on hold just because we're without a director of operations at the moment. However, it will be continuing to move forward here as soon as we secure a new director. So just letting everybody know that that has not fallen off the list of things to do. It is still in motion.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Sure, go ahead.
With respect to the comments that Mr. Hudson made with respect to the entrance from the parkway, my experience in having conversations with the Thousand Islands Parkway Commission is that they are not very eager to grant access points along the parkway that become public access points.
Correct, which
I would
this
also
isn't
put-
a public, this is a already existing roadway that's been there as long as I've been alive. So it accesses his property, which would allow for individuals who are utilizing his property to come and go from that entrance and access.
But doesn't that constitute public access without access or decel lanes?
Nope, it does, it's not a public access.
Okay, but
It's a driveway.
Okay, Mr. Hudson also pointed out that he thought maybe only 20 to 30% of his customers would utilize that location.
At this point in time, but I took that he could also direct his his clientele to actually utilize that access more, should he wish to.
Okay.
So it's all being looked at through site plan control as well. Mr. Hodgson, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, you've said what I was gonna say. I can certainly, I'm not in a position to actually tell everyone to start using the back entrance. But I can certainly do some recommendations if it becomes a concern. And I do want to stipulate, yes, we can use that. The township can use that, and emergency vehicles can use that as a emergency exit, but certainly not the public.
Yeah.
Just for those many reasons. We don't want it to become known as a public access. Then we have issues.
Yeah, and it's not built up as a road. It's built as a driveway, which is a different function.
Yep.
So, okay. Are there any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Foti, and then we'll move forward.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. Mr. Hodgson, the customers you have, do they use your own facility for launching boats, or do you use the township ramp? Or depend on the size of the boat?
They're certainly allowed to use our facility. But again, percentage wise, I would almost say we're back to 25%. Use the launch, maybe 30, less than 50. It really depends on where they get their boat winterized. Some of them are upriver, downriver, and they get their boats delivered to them.
Okay, so not all of them are coming in by trailer anyway.
Some
No.
of them come in by water.
No, less than 50%. I would say 30%.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we thank everyone who has made comments and asked questions, and staff will take the public input back to do further work on this, and it will come back to council at a later date with a recommendation. Okay, so the next motion is coming from Councillor Antoine Hartley, seconded by Councillor Maybe, that the public meeting be closed. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it is carried. Okay. Okay, next item is staff reports. Ontario Heritage Act designations 181 Tower Road, 186 Main Street, and 117 Raisin Road. This is not. So we have moved by Deputy Mayor Foti, seconded by Councillor Antoine Hartley. Whereas the Committee of the Whole has received resolutions from Municipal Heritage Committee recommending that council direct staff to proceed with serving notice of intention to designate the properties municipally known as 181 Tower Road, 186 Main Street, and 117 Raisin Road, and that if no other notice of objections are received by the township, the designation bylaws be presented to council for all three readings, and that staff be directed to carry out the requirements as prescribed under Section 29(8) of the Ontario Heritage Act. And now, therefore, this report recommends that the Committee of the Whole supports the recommendations of the Municipal Heritage Committee and recommends as follows. The council directs staff to serve a notice of intention to designate the property located at 181 Tower Road, known as the Bradley House, as a property of cultural heritage value or interest pursuant to Section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act. That should no notice of objection be received by the clerk of the Corporation of the Township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands within 30 days, the publication of the notice of intention to designate the designation bylaw for 181 Tower Road be presented to council for all three readings, and that staff be directed to carry out the requirements as prescribed under Section 28(8) of the Act. And that council directs staff to serve notice of intention to designate a property located at 186 Main Street, known as the Hotchkiss Chapman House, as a property of cultural heritage, value, or interest pursuant to Section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and that should no notice of objection be received by the clerk of the Corporation of the Township of Leeds in the Thousand Islands within 30 days of the publication of the notice of intention to designate, the designation bylaw for 186 Main Street be presented to council for all three readings, and that staff be directed to carry out the requirements as prescribed under section 29(8) of the Act. And the council directs staff to serve notice of intention to designate the property located at 117 Raisin Road, known as the Washburn House, as a property of cultural heritage value or interest pursuant to section 29 of the Ontario Heritage Act, and that should no notice of objection be received by the clerk of the corporation of the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands of within 30 days of the publication of the notice of intention to designate, the designation bylaw for 117 Raisin Road be presented to council for all three readings, and staff be directed to carry out the requirements as prescribed under section 29(8) of the Act. That was a lot. Anyway, I didn't bring any tea tonight. Anyways, so we have three properties here that we're looking to designate. Motion is on the floor, up for discussion. Members, go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And through you, have these three properties been brought forward by township or the residents who actually are in them?
So go ahead.
Thank you, and through you. So the origin of these designations is a written request from each of the property owners expressing interest in the township, evaluating the properties for cultural heritage value, and those evaluations have been completed. Each property meets the criteria prescribed by the Heritage Act. Staff have kept the property owners informed throughout the whole process and have consulted with them on the draft designation bylaws, and have been informed to continue to proceed with what's before you this evening.
Excellent. Thank you. That's
Okay.
all I have.
Any other comments or questions in regards to these three properties? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Fody.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. These properties here, they're going on the list, of course, of designated properties. Does that preclude them from, they or another owner preclude them from applying to have the property designated as a heritage site, so to speak? I may not have the wording right on that, but you get my understanding. There's two different lists under the Heritage Act, right?
Through you, yeah, that's correct. There is a listing process for protection under section 27, which is a lesser level of protection.
Right.
We did outreach to property owners that were of listed properties, letting them know that we were offering a one-time grant of up to $5,000 for newly designated properties. Two of the property owners of the properties being discussed this evening have expressed an interest in pursuing those grants. So this would be a designation under Part 4 of the Heritage Act, which is the more significant level of designation and involves a bylaw that's registered on title and runs on title with the property.
Right. And none of these are in that position or intend to be,
They are.
or they're all in that position.
Correct.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it is the wishes of the
They are.
owners. This is not something that's come forward from the public. The owners themselves have put in the applications.
But secondly, our intent, I guess you would say, of having monies available to heritage buildings is having a good effect on making people realize they may own one of these buildings, as in the case of these three. And to acquire grant money kind of opens everybody's eyes as to whether they do qualify or not through our staff. Anyway, interesting. Two of these buildings I know well enough. The one on Raisin Road, I do not. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? I have no hands up. Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And we're carried. Thank you. Moving on to 2026 community grants. So I will ask Councillor Antoine Hartley to leave. Okay, so motion comes forward for Councillor Maybe, seconded by, can I have a volunteer for that, please? Okay, Kelman. That committee of the whole recommends that council approve the 2026 community grant spring intake distribution in the amount of $63,136.50 as attached to corporate services 2026-014. questions or comments on that? Can you share your screen, please? So I'm just going to ask the acting CAO to share a screen with the list of candidates in case anybody's watching. Oh, that's hard to read.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just looking for the applicants.
It's
There we
not
go.
there.
It's Frontenac Archbiosphere, Gananoque Girls Hockey, Gananoque Wheels of Care, Girls Inc., Ivy Lee, Parquet. Thank you. And we have Lansdowne Agricultural Society, Lansdowne Seniors Association, Lansdowne Village Community Garden, Lyndhurst Business Community, Lyndhurst Events, Arts and Fairs, Lyndhurst Sealy's Bay District Chamber of Commerce, R&J Youth Services, Sabara Canada Day, Sabara Gold.
Volunteer leaders.
Volunteer. Oh, got it. Thank you. The reason I felt it important to read from that list, I guess I could have read from my computer this week. It's okay. There's still more.
Yeah, there's
Oh, Strong Heart Program, Friends of Charleston Lake Park,
NTIA.
PIA, Women Matters. Okay, right. But these are the ones that are being recommended for successful partnership. So the reason I wanted to indicate who these folks were that applied is because we do get more people apply than we're able to give out for one reason or another. However, it's also to indicate the depths and the breadth of the folks who apply for these grants. So that's why I wanted to read the names of the individuals who have been recommended to be successful in getting these grants. Does anybody have any questions or comments in regards to any of the applications? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to our finance department. Do we not have a ceiling of $10,000 per applicant?
Through you, Mayor, yes, per the policy, it does speak to a $10,000 threshold. It does provide some flexibility under certain circumstances, but that typically is the rule of thumb, is $10,000 would be the maximum allowed.
Okay, thank you, by the way. The reason I bring that up is because of Sabara's $10,000 grant, and then immediately underneath it, the 450. You said there's some wiggle room in there.
Yes, through you, Mayor. So it's funny you bring that one up. We did look at that with Volt. So Volt is a special volunteer software that they're trying to build a volunteer platform through Volt. So the policy does specifically speak, which is an operating cost as well, which typically wouldn't be covered. But the policy does specifically speak to some operating costs, i.e. volunteer expenses to encourage volunteerism and things like that. So since the policy specifically spoke to that thing, we felt it was appropriate to recommend to help fund them that. We did provide funding for Volt last year to help it get off the ground. And we're hoping to work the Township with Sabara to try to build that volunteer database and maybe expand it beyond just Sealy's Bay if they are successful with it.
Okay. Thank you. It's more for the clarity, because others out there know, especially those who've applied, they know that 10,000 threshold is there. And if they see a group such as Sabara in this case have exceeded that, then it poses questions, and it leaves us looking a little vulnerable as to how applicable are our rules. But it's been explained well by the finance department, and I'm okay with that. Thank you.
Further comments or questions? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Okay, Councillor Antoine Hartley can come back in the room. Okay, 2026 Youth Bursary Award. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fody, seconded by Councillor Maybe. The committee of whole recommends that council approve the 2026 Youth Bursary Awards in the total amount of $2,000 as per corporate services 2026-013. Any comments or questions? Okay, go ahead, Deputy Mayor Fode.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. The obvious question, are these recipients going to be here next week or at some point?
I believe well, they wouldn't be here next week because we have to pass it in order to make it
Okay.
official. So then they would be at the following meeting, I believe. Usually, is that how we do it?
Yes, through you, Mayor. I believe we're planning for June.
Okay,
Thank you.
awesome. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Yeah, it is nice to see that many applicants. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Thank you. Next item, 2026 Cemetery Grant Program. Ms. Kelman, I'll ask you to leave the room. Okay. So we have moved by Councillor Antoine Hartley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fode. The Committee of the Whole recommends that Council approve the allocation of funds for the Cemetery Grant Program applicants as follows. Escott Cemetery, $6,000. Lansdowne Cemetery, $6,837.95. Rockport Protestant Cemetery, $3,000. Sam Bay Cemetery, $2,734. And St. John's Leeds Anglican Cemetery, $5,050. Discussion on the motion. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just clarity, where is St. John's?
St. John's, it's at Lyndhurst. It's the church that's been sold with the, near the campground.
Yeah,
Wilson.
thank you. Yeah.
Any further comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And we're carried. Okay, Ms. Kelman, you can come back in the room. Oh, it's not the one in the village. My apologies. So it's the one on or Sweets Corners. Oh man, I'm batting 1,000 tonight. So in the piece between 33, yeah. So going that way. My apologies. Should know my cemeteries by this point in my life, but anyways. So the motion, the next item is pickleball court expansion request, recreation working group supplementary report. Moved by Councillor Kelman, seconded by, I need a volunteer to put it on the floor. Maybe, okay. The Committee of the Whole recommends that Council accept the recreation working group recommendation to not proceed with further pickleball court lines added to the Lansdowne Jerry Park Tennis Court. Discussion on this motion. Go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Just in some of the literature quickly read here, the basketball court and the pickleball are side by side.
each.
Yeah, side by each. I like that one. Has there been any discussion about putting a fence between them?
Yeah, you're on the working group, so you're it.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you. Currently, you have to go through the pickleball court and the tennis court to access the basketball court area, I believe. So that's been part of the problem, is that kids do feel intimidated to walk when there's a large group playing pickleball. They do feel like they can't access the best. So it's not, I think it is separated by fencing. And there are additional pickleball courts on the basketball court, but those can only be reserved if the existing pickleball courts have been reserved. So they can be reserved in addition to the pickleball courts, but not separate from the pickleball courts.
Thank you for that. Part of my ask is, should there be a separate entrance to the basketball court for
We are
them
looking
to
at-
use?
We
so
are
that
looking at that. Yeah.
Possibly. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
So that is being considered. Thank you. Any further comments or questions in regards to this? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to thank the recreation group for clarifying what was kind of up in the air last month or the month preceding. I think it was just last month. Reading some of this is disturbing. To think we have some of these issues, if you want to call it. I would like to see them rectified. This is a small community, and everybody needs to realize that if you're playing here and somebody else needs to play there, just let them come and go. Don't turn it into contention. We don't want to have to start creating penalties. I mean, that would be the worst case scenario. if we get to a case where we have to start issuing penalties for those involved, you know, I would like to see a little more camaraderie when it comes to mixed use courts. Thank you.
Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it passes. It's carried. Okay, and next item is facility court and field booking and allocation review recommendation, moved by Councillor Leclerc, seconded by Councillor Kelman. The committee of the whole recommends council provide direction to staff to complete a review of the facility court and field booking allocation as recommended by the Recreation Working Group. Discussion on the motion. Go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Perhaps the committee could give the goal for the review. What would it give you as a committee?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Counselor, maybe?
Sorry?
Can you repeat what you just asked?
What is the goal of the review to the committee?
You want me to?
Sure, I'll direct this to our acting CAO.
Thank you. Through you, we have a number of different policies, but we don't actually have a court and field booking allocation policy. We've got different policies that don't speak to each other, so they run independent and they haven't been looked at for a significant amount of time. Some of the definitions are lacking in terms of how we look at group versus organization, those types of things that are kind of tying staff's hands right now and dealing with some situations that they have in front of them. So at the Rec Working Group, we were talking about this in terms of how to address some of these situations. We do have a recreation student this summer who is going to be coming in, who will help us in terms of getting a better understanding of the use of the courts and the uptake in some of the facilities over the summer, and adding that extra resource to help with some of this policy review. So coming out of this, we're hoping that if council is supportive of the recommendation, that staff would be looking at best practices in other municipalities in terms of how they deal with some of these situations with different user groups, balance priorities, so that we would have a policy to guide how we handle the booking and allocation of our sports fields, of our court facilities, and those types of things, because we don't have that tool right now to assist staff in dealing with these situations.
Further comment or questions? Go ahead, Councillor Antoine Hartley.
Thank you. And through you, Chair, just wondering about the municipalities you choose to look at. So our circumstances with 9,000, 10,000 people are a little bit different than Kingston's with 130,000. So I'm just hoping that you'll be looking at that size of municipalities as opposed to the larger ones.
We generally try to look at very comparable municipalities, rural, that sort of thing, with everything that we look at.
And a lot of that work has been done, but there's discussion about it, but we don't actually have those resources available to us in terms of our own policy framework. So it really needs to be something that's tailored to our own township.
Okay. Further comments or questions in regards to this? Okay, call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And we're carried. Okay, next item is 9.7 capital budget for acquisition of trailer recommendation, moved by Councillor Leclerc, seconded by Councillor Kelman. The committee of the whole recommends that council approve $5,000 in new capital budget for the purchase of a trailer as attached to Fire Services 2026-010. Discussion on the motion. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you to our finance department. Is there enough money in the fire department reserves should we end up with a shortfall? Or I assume this used equipment will be sold in reasonable length of time or put up for sale?
Through you, Mayor. Yes, so the existing ATV and the existing trailer will both be sold. And we are confident we'll have enough proceeds on disposition to fund the 5,000. If there was a shortfall, there is our capital reserve funds would be able to cover it, but that's not expected to be needed in this situation.
So this is just a preemptive thing. This is not necessarily the final dollar amount. Meaning that you're anticipating to not need this money. You're
Well, we're approving the budget, so we don't actually have capital budget for the trailer.
right.
The original budget for this ATV project was the 32,000, which is sufficient to cover the purchase of the ATV unit, but not the trailer. So we're
Correct.
getting council's approval for further capital budget. That capital budget will be funded through the proceeds of disposition of the existing equipment.
Any further comments or questions? I thank you for bringing this forward, mainly because it's very important for folks to understand that we try not to spend out of budget unless it comes back to council. And so we appreciate the transparency of this. So any other questions? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? We're carried. Moved. Next item is 2026 annual repayment limit, moved by Councillor Leclerc, seconded by Councillor Kelman.
That is the next one, but those two are just for staff reports for information.
Sorry,
It's okay.
my bad. So number 10, staff reports for information. These are information reports. There is no motion going forward with them. So if you wanted to discuss anything about them, that would require a notice of motion.
We can
No?
discuss them, ask questions.
Right.
If you want to make a decision.
Correct. Sorry, my bad. So anybody have any comments or questions in regards to the information reports? I'm grateful that we're nowhere near our annual repayment limit. That's what I'll say about that. Because there's lots of other municipalities that are not in this case.
Please don't fill that void with the purchase of a trailer for the side-by-side. Chief.
I think $5,000 is okay. It's when it's 500 or 5 million or, Yeah, exactly. So any further comments or questions? Okay, we'll move on to the next item, which is 11, council meeting recommendation moved by Councillor Leclerc, seconded by Councillor Kelman. The committee of the whole resolve into council to consider two bylaws as outlined in items 11.1 and 11.2. Any discussion? I'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. So we are now considered in council, Madam Clerk. Okay, nodding of the heads. So the next motion is moved by Councillor Kelman, seconded by Councillor Leclerc, that council grant 3 readings and final passage to bylaw number 2026-022, attached to the report Planning and Development 2026-024 as Exhibit A, being a bylaw to appoint David McGurran as the Chief of Building Official for the as Chief Building Official for the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands. So exciting day. New building official. Nobody's got anything to say about that? Okay, go ahead.
If pushed, I'll always say something. Yeah. Anyways, through you, Madam Mayor, it's great to see that we have a new building official and that Mr. Paul Nixon is able to retire, and that puts 3 building inspectors in the building again, right?
Through you, we have chief building official as well as 3 building
Inspectors.
building inspectors. We have the chief building official, deputy chief building official, and 2 inspectors.
And one of those is the septic inspector,
That's correct.
and which exclusively does
Actually, we didn't exclusively appoint one. We cross-trained everybody so
Right.
that there's backups, more efficiency on site if they're
Yes.
all able to do it.
Yep. Understood. Okay, excellent. Well, great that he's here, and he came from North Grenville, I guess,
Yeah.
too. So with a lot of experience already. So
High growth municipality. So he
Yeah.
busy.
busy.
He was busy there.
Yep.
But I believe this is a little closer to home for him. So he's happy to come and join us. Any further comments or question? I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. I just wanted to say thank you on behalf of the municipality to Mr. Nixon, who was with us for many years, but also helped fill a void when we were unable to recruit a CBO after he had retired. So just wanted to say thank you. It's on the record as well. We had a little going away pizza party here the other day and said a few words of thanks. So it's not always the most fun job or the easiest job, but it's one of the few things the province expects us to have. And so having a CBO on staff is very critical to any municipality. So thank you for all your years of service to Mr. Nixon. So the next motion is moved by Councillor Kelman, seconded by Councillor Leclerc, that 3 readings and final passage be granted to bylaw number 2026-023, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the corporation, the Township of Leeds and the Thousand Islands at its May 4th, 2026 council meeting. All those in favor? Any opposed? And it is carried. Okay, next motion is moved by Councillor Leclerc, seconded by Councillor Kelman, that council resolve back into committee of the whole for the remainder of the May 4th, 2026 meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it's carried. Okay. Notices, rise and report minutes and committees, working groups and local boards. So we have 3 sets of minutes. So Peer, the Recreation Working Group and the Library Board, is there any comments or questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And through you, on the peer committee, there's one group that's wanting to step away from that particular participation. Just wondering if there's any more information on that.
Who are you speaking about?
I'll have to pull it up.
I don't recall.
2 seconds.
Right. That was staff reports. That were just information. Sorry, I just didn't bring it up. We can go back. Okay. That was on me because it was in the wrong order in my pile. So
Oh, that would, sorry, through Mayor, you're speaking of LEAF, it says.
yes,
Um,
the Lyndhurst.
Yes, Leaf.
We're back to 10.2 and then I'll go back to the,
If it's like
Oh.
that.
oh,
Oh, sorry, because I thought it was 14.1. where
No,
we're
it's-
talking about that.
Yeah, and in the peer minutes, it speaks to LEAF requesting. to
Yeah.
leave Here.
Peer minute.
we're all confused. It's Monday. Yeah, okay, so we'll go through these reports first, and then I'll go back to those. So that was my error, because there were, for information purposes, they weren't for any decisions necessarily, but I understand that there's comments to be made, so we can go back. So is there any further comments in regards to those 14.1, 14.2, and 14.3? We have the CEO from the library who's also in the gallery. Should anybody have questions? I'm gonna drop a little, what do they call it? Easter egg. I'm gonna drop an Easter egg here. So I'm very much looking forward to coming back to council next week. There is something that our municipality has been recognized for that I can't speak of publicly yet. And I will be able to do so as of Friday. But just thank you to the library board and some of our heritage folks who have been working tirelessly on this. So it's kind of nice and it'll be a feel good thing for next week. But just there's my Easter egg for this for this week.
Yeah,
It's in the
Yeah.
minutes.
peer minutes, and it's
Okay, so since there's no other hands up, I will go back to 8.10.2. Sorry, thank you. Lyndhurst Events, Arts Fairs, Annual Lyndhurst Turkey Fair Delegation Response. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Antoine Hartley.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Just thank you for working on this information piece. I did have a couple of things to think about, though. One of the things that I read was that so the road closures, okay? So access must be maintained to provide the local access for the residents. Now, yes, but there's other things that about that, like the safety is huge. And would you follow through the bylaw says by law enforcement officer doesn't have any real authority to help with that. However, we know, I think they realized, I think there was a little bit of a disconnect because the information piece, the paper that they handed out that we read, but when they were questioned afterwards, they weren't looking for enforcement as much as they were looking for education. So helping residents understand that ripping and tearing up and down when the road is closed to just local traffic, probably not a good idea. So one of the things that I just wanted to question was that our bylaw enforcement officer, he's not just the bylaw enforcement officer, his title is bylaw enforcement and education officer. So in that case, would that not be part of his role in helping to some of the residents to understand if there is an issue that day and of course, if there's something major, like the police will be called. Unfortunately, if you have the police come in, they don't just come in with one police officer that walks around. You have to pay for 2 police officers plus cruiser, which is an exorbitant amount of money for that day. So I'm just wondering about that. And with the office, the bylaw being on site, can act as a mediator as well sometimes in some of these situations, which would mean there wouldn't need enforcement. The other thing I'm just questioning about the boulevard, the public boulevard. And I think that's one of the things that they really were interested in, some clarification and of use of it. So some residents, and they try very hard to understand and not put people in front of people's homes that don't want them there. However, the education part of the lot lines, right? Not necessarily looking at that, more that the public boulevard is a public boulevard. Is it not 33 feet from the center line like it is?
Depends on the road. So I'll go to the CA.
Yeah.
So just to start addressing those things, in terms of the bylaw enforcement officer, yes, it's bylaw enforcement and education. It's education as it relates to township bylaws. So we don't regulate traffic. We don't regulate a lot of those behaviors that they're running into. You mentioned that the OPP would come in with 2 officers. There's a reason for that, because they don't patrol on their own for health and safety reasons. So my concern in having a single bylaw enforcement officer there put in that position is, well, Daniel's a very capable individual. That's not his role. And so that's my concern with that. He's also, we're asking him to educate people on things that he has no authority to enforce, which is my concern. So what we did note in the report is that we are open to looking at ways to help with education. Some of the things that we talked about at that last meeting was handouts, education through the weekly update, different ways that we can potentially put some information out there. But the challenge is that to put one individual in that role, our bylaw enforcement officer is not a security officer. He's not, it's a challenging position to put that individual in. And that's why I would be hesitant to put that one individual in that role. In terms of the boulevard, I noted in the report that the plan for Lyndhurst is a very old plan. It's based on an 1800s plan, and the plan itself notes that there's missing information.
Inconsistencies.
So there's inconsistencies. And while a standard road allowance is a 20-meter road allowance, and yes, you would be looking at, so 20 meters, 66 feet, you would be looking at 33 feet from the center line. That is absolutely inconsistent throughout the township, because we have different areas where we have old plans, we have narrower road allowances. So in some areas, yes, we do have that. In many areas, we don't have it. And so for us to go ahead and say it's 33 feet from the center line of the road, it's inconsistent and it varies from area to area. So I mean, generally, if there's sidewalks there, our boulevard is to the edge of the sidewalk. But again, it varies depending on where you are, and it's not consistent. So it's not as easy as going out and drawing a line and saying this is where it is. By all means, we could be of assistance sort of in advance of an event, trying to help identify those things, but we don't have any legal plans that tell us exactly where that property line is because the surveys and plans for Lyndhurst are so old. So
Unless someone's had a recent
Yeah.
survey.
Well, that's what I was just going to say, like, I kind of doubt that there's any of those homes are still owned by the people that owned them in 1867.
no. And
So
we
there, I'm
have-
wondering where the surveys, they
they don't exist.
Really?
It's the old original plan for Lyndhurst that's on title in the registry
the plot
office.
plan.
So it's the old registered plan. And again, as I said, it notes that there are inconsistencies and there's information missing in the plan. It's a very yellowed copy of what we have in our file. So I wouldn't, and if anybody came in here looking to do something on their property, we would ask them to go get a surveyor to verify their property lines.
Okay.
So I'd like to say it's not a simple answer in that respect. I think that one of the things we talked about as staff and council spoke about at that last meeting was how do we help educate people? How do we help get some more of that information out there? Because I think that that's the best thing we can offer is some of our outreach and some of our extent in terms of reaching the public in the area. It's a community-led event, but we can assist in terms of providing certain things. We talked about the road sign and where we could put it or how soon we can put it out. If there's an opportunity to include the rental for an additional road sign within their grant application, like what other things we could do. Last year was a challenge because the construction was also occurring on the Lyndhurst Bridge. So there were some additional challenges going on at that time. But in terms of meeting with the Turkey Fair organizers, that's something that we can talk to them about through sitting down and meeting with them in terms of how we can be of more assistance in terms of getting information out early so that we can start preparing people for it.
Yeah. And I think they've been doing a bit of that themselves and trying to talk to people and they have a plan for information as well. And perhaps we have a tax bill going out in August, maybe a little flyer within the tax bill even. And that's important information for the whole township, not just those, just not Lyndhurst. Anyways, thank you very much.
Any other comments or questions about those reports?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, Councillor Maybe.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, I was kind of curious on that one too, in that the property owners that are kind of disagreeing with the whole thing, is there a consensus of why they disagree, or is it just a general, they don't want people in the front yard? Yeah.
I think it just comes down to some people don't want people on their
And
property.
I think it's just a few people on one street,
Okay.
basically. And they've tried to accommodate that by not putting too many vendors on that street.
Okay.
Oh, my heavens. They weren't kidding. She just pulled up the map of Lyndhurst and it's old. Like, definitely older than me, which is old.
But
Anyway,
beautiful, but
yeah.
beautiful.
Yes, it is beautiful. That is old. So there's lots of things that you can look at. There's the registered plan. Plan 38. It's old. Like this was when it was original, it's the OG. So. Yep, pretty much.
So this would be what it looked like when the original turkey fairs were.
Were a
Yeah.
thing, but they also were in November or December.
Mm,
The turkey fair was never in September because it was right before Christmas as they were taking
Yeah.
them to.
They brought their poultry then and yeah. Now we just bring people selling their preserves and stuff.
Yeah, we have no dead turkeys hanging.
No-
out,
no
so
dead turkeys.
It's good.
We do have the odd live one.
Yes. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, I'm going forward with back to number 15, notices of motion. Any notices of motion? Have no hands up. Statements or announcements from councillors? Go ahead, Councillor Maybe, and then Councillor Kelman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you, as everybody, I've mentioned it, this weekend is the Town Crier Championships up in Ottawa, and I will be taking some gifts for the mayor in Ottawa to present. And I may even have something with the township because I kind of am in both jurisdictions, let's say. So I will present whatever we can. And I'm actually listed as the town crier of Gananoque, but also the surrounding area of Leeds and Thousand Islands. So, which I find quite nice. Ivy Lee, we kind of talked about that. I went down that road, as I said earlier, and it was quite interesting to see the markers that were the survey stakes and the dilemma that many of the residents have down there for and on their parking. So I think there's some work yet there to be done to try to minimize the impact that the residents themselves are having parking on the road. And I realize that we also have the impact of the emergency vehicles and anybody else that needs to go down that road. But it's important that, these are the taxpayers. They need to have some sort of consolement of some sort. So I think we need to revisit that as we can and see what else is available. One other thing that I had somebody out of Kingston who was looking at our township maps to get what the zoning is. And in other municipalities, there are digital pages that they can go to actually get this information, but they indicated that they can't here. So
We're trying.
we're trying to get there. So so in the meantime, I guess the other side of that is the pages on the other municipalities that they go to, they're not being charged. So to get that same information here, they are being charged now. Okay. 'Cause
They can
that's-
call in and.
that is what I actually had mentioned to me. So if there's some clarity, it'd be great to know.
Through you, if I could just clarify, we will assist people in determining what their zoning is over the phone or in person. If somebody wants a formal written confirmation of what their zoning is, then we charge $100 for a compliance letter. But we would generally assist anybody in figuring out what the zoning for their property is. The reason our current mapping isn't online is that it's
Old.
dated, it's old, and it's subject to a significant amount of interpretation. And yeah.
Yeah, good point. And that is on the work plan for,
It's in this year,
it's in this year, so
but it's a carryover. It's a 2-year.
it's a massive project. Yeah. Okay, so any other statements? Oh, Councillor Kelman, yes?
Thank you, Worship. And for you, I just wanted to mention that the Lyndhurst-Sealy's Bay District Chamber of Commerce is holding a meet and greet tomorrow evening, starting at 7 at the Lyndhurst Legion. So I would encourage any members of council that would like to attend, also any businesses in the township that aren't already members of the chamber. It's a great opportunity to meet some current members and find out what services and activities they have to offer.
Okay, any other comments? Go ahead, Councillor Antoine Hartley.
Thank you, through you, Chair. June 13th, there's going to be an appreciation celebration for Dr. Briggs, as well as a welcome to her replacement, Dr. Turig. It's going to be held at the Sealy's Bay Community Hall. And in lieu of gifts, they're asking for donations towards a park bench honoring Dr. Briggs and her service. And that can be sent to Michelle Thompson at Thompson Electric in person. If you need an email address, I can help you with that. I also would like to send out a heartfelt, my heartfelt, I don't know, condolence isn't the word, but anyways, to the people of Sweets store in Sealy's Bay, grocery store in Sealy's Bay. That they had a tragic fire last Sunday night. The good news is that everybody got out. And so you can't put, even though it's going to be a huge, huge loss to our community, it's wonderful that nobody was hurt. And the most important part, I guess, is that I would like to also, on behalf of the residents of Sealy's Bay, I would like to extend a sincere thank you for the firefighters and their ongoing commitment to our community and its safety. Your vigilance and rapid response are the reasons our village remains standing today. For those of you who don't know the history of Sealy's Bay, it has burned twice in its history. And so we are all acutely aware that you did so much to keep that from happening again. So thank you for all your sacrifices and the hours you spend training and the bravery you show every time the siren sounds. We're proud to have you protecting our homes and our history. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Foti.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, the Lansdowne Fair Board is holding it's now an annual. Last year was their first year. Rodeo, I believe it's on the 29th and 30th, the Friday.
This weekend?
Yeah, last weekend, but not the Sunday, the Friday and the Saturday. If you want tickets, it's highly recommended you get them now because like last year, they likely won't be available the day of. The people that have been there, they've already booked tickets long ago. Just as an aside, I found out the other day that that rodeo was put to use. There was 6 cattle, the way I understand it, have been running rogue for 3 years, varying ages from a few months old to a bull that was over 3 years old, with a nice set of horns. People in the neighborhood reached out to this rodeo to see if they'd be interested in such a venture. They said, we do it all the time. So they brought down X number of horses and riders, from what I understand, 5 or 6 dogs, corral gates, trailers, everything. They rounded these cattle up in a relatively short length of time. They've been freelancing, if you will, for 3 years. So these livestock are not pet friendly. And yet they had them all corralled in the trailer. And I don't know what the timeline was, but it was short order. And really and truly, other than to drug them, and then you'd have to find a way to move them, it's the safest and easiest way to do that. So hats off to our coming rodeo for coming to the rescue. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions in regards to statements or announcements from councillors? Seeing none, I'll move on to the mayor's update. This week is Emergency Preparedness Week. There's a wealth of information and resources on the Government Canada's website. Know your risks and be prepared. Number 2, candidate packages. I'm really having a hard time with my words this evening. Candidate packages for mayor, council, or school board trustee are available for download on the elections page of our website and at the administration office here at 1233 Prince Street. Nomination period closes at 2 p.m. on August 21st, 2026, and the nomination period is open. Information sessions are being hosted in several communities this coming Thursday here in Lansdowne, May the 7th, May 14th in Prescott, May 21st in Kemptville, or on June 24th in Gananoque. For more information, reach out to our clerk. Upcoming events, Lyndhurst Legion is hosting a Mother's Day brunch this Sunday, 10:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., $10 per person, children under 6, $5. The Lyndhurst Community Organization is hosting a plant sale on May 16th, 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Laffer here in Lansdowne is hosting their annual plant sale, May 16th, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Lansdowne Fairgrounds. We have our Touch a Truck that is happening on the 20th of May here at the administrative office and behind our administrative office, the Public Works Garage. It's a chance for kids and families to get up close to big machines, meet the operators, and connect with our emergency services, such as Leeds Fire, Leeds Grenville OPP, and paramedics. New this year is the RCMP, who will be joining us, and TLTI is sponsoring a cash barbecue with all proceeds going to local food banks. Don't forget to bring food or pantry items to fill the booth. Event. It's shaping up to be well attended again. So, and the rodeo gearing up on May 29th and 30th, which is already been talked about, but can't underscore enough. If you haven't got tickets in advance, you could very well be turned away at the gate. My children did not get it last year, so they were very disappointed children. I had my tickets. They're teenagers. They're supposed to get their own. If you're a local business interested in being involved with a few farmers market pop-ups this summer, please connect with the communications and community engagement staff, Tracy Holland here at the township office. Lastly, a bit of a somber note, we did participate in a celebration of life of for Miss Catherine Graham. I just wanted to say thank you to the fire ladies and the fire gentlemen who came to help set up and provide assistance for the event. The fire ladies took care of all the organizing and making the hall look lovely, as well as providing the food. The family was very gracious and very grateful to the community who showed up. It was standing room only in the community building. Can't underscore enough what Kathy did for our community, whether it be the Committee of Adjustment, OPP, Police Services Board, St. Lawrence District Medical Center. I know there's so many other places, the Boat Museum. She just never stopped. But she did love living here. She loved being part of the community, and she never looked over her shoulder to see who else was going to do it. She just stepped up and did it. So we will miss her dearly. It was lovely to hear from her colleagues at Carleton University, as well as family and friends who came from near and far to celebrate her life, and it was a life well lived. So with that, we will move forward with, there is no closed session, so we'll move forward with adjournment. Moved by Councillor Kelman, second by Councillor Leclerc. The committee of the whole adjourn at 7:26 p.m. All those in favor? All those opposed? And we are carried. Thank you, folks.